They say every town has a ghost story, but not every ghost story is true. Ours, though. Ours was different. When I first moved to Hollow Creek, I wasn't looking for legends or mysteries. I was just trying to start over. I'd lost my job in the city after the company downsized, and my relationship didn't survive the fallout. My savings weren't much, but they were enough to rent a small upstairs apartment above a barber shop in a quiet little town. Hollow Creek looked peaceful on the surface. Brick storefronts, tree-lined streets, people who still waved when you passed. It seemed like exactly the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened. I didn't know that beneath all the smiles and small-town politeness, the people here carried a secret, one they never spoke about directly. The first time I heard her name was at the diner. I was sipping coffee late one night, trying to scribble in a notebook, when an old man at the counter leaned toward me. "You're new," he said. I nodded. "You work nights?" he asked. "Sometimes." He shook his head. "Don't walk after midnight. Don't go near the creek. And if you hear her crying, for God's sake, don't answer." I laughed nervously, but he didn't smile. His face was gray and drawn, eyes heavy with something more than tiredness. "Who?" I asked. He looked at me for a long time before whispering, "The crying woman." I asked around. No one liked talking about her, but I pieced it together. Years ago, there was a woman who lived near the creek. Nobody agrees on her name anymore. Some say she lost her mind after her husband left. Others claim she was always mad. But one night, she drowned her children in the black water. When the townsfolk came for her, she walked into the river herself, screaming their names. They say she clawed her own face until the current pulled her under. Her body was never found. Now, when fog rolls in after dark, people hear her crying. Sometimes she calls for her children. Sometimes she screams. And sometimes she just watches. At first, I treated it like campfire gossip. But one night, walking home from a late shift, I heard it. A woman's sobs, faint in the distance. I froze under the street lamp, listening. The sound came closer, choked gasps, like someone drowning in the open air. Then I saw her. At the far end of the street, standing in the mist, was a figure in soaked white cloth. Her hair hung over her face, dripping. Her arms twisted at unnatural angles. Water ran off her in streams, though the pavement beneath her stayed dry. She lifted her head. Her eyes were gone, just black hollows streaming with endless water. Her jaw hung loose, skin gray and sagging. Her voice broke into a shriek that rattled my bones. "Come back to me!" I ran. Her wet footsteps slapped the pavement behind me. When I finally slammed my apartment door shut, silence fell. Then came 3 slow knocks on the wood. Heavy, wet. I didn't answer. I told myself it was a nightmare, a trick of exhaustion. But the next morning, the carpet inside my door was damp. Days passed, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. At the grocery store, I saw her reflection in the freezer glass, standing just behind me. At the laundromat, water began dripping from the ceiling above my chair. When I looked up, I swore I saw her face in the stain. I stopped sleeping. My hands trembled. I started carrying a flashlight everywhere, though light didn't seem to matter. I wasn't alone. A teenager named Daniel vanished after bragging to his friends that he'd follow her voice to prove she wasn't real. They watched him walk into the fog, heard him scream once. He never came out. A delivery driver swore a soaked woman appeared in the road, forcing him to crash. When paramedics pulled him out, his lungs were full of water. He hadn't drowned in the wreck. He had drowned before it. An old man in town told me his wife once woke to find a dripping figure standing over their bed. She went mad days later, clawing at her arms and crying that the river won't let go. She drowned herself in their bathtub. The town lived with her. Shops closed early. Church bells rang at dusk as a warning. Everyone knew, but no one spoke too loud. I couldn't leave it alone. I searched old library records. There were reports of missing children in the 1920s, floods that washed away homes, even whispers of a woman committed to an asylum near the creek. But none of it explained why she still walked. The more I dug, the worse it got. Every night the crying followed. At first distant, then closer. Sometimes outside my window, sometimes inside my walls. One night, I woke to dripping water in my closet. I opened the door. She was there, bent backwards, crawling down the shelves like a spider, hair swinging in ropes, mouth opening wider than humanly possible. "Die with me!" she screamed. The lights burst, plunging me into darkness. I slammed the door, heart pounding, but her sobs filled the room long after. It wasn't just sightings. She was pulling me deeper. At work, shelves toppled one by one, as though invisible footsteps walked the aisles. Customers left, pale and shaking, saying they heard a woman crying in their ears. On the highway, fog swallowed the road. In the rearview mirror, I saw her crouched in the back seat, water dripping onto the upholstery. When I spun around, it was empty, but the seat was soaked. At a motel, I woke to wet footprints leading from the bathroom to the bed. They stopped inches from my face. People whispered their own encounters when they thought no one was listening. A girl said she caught her little brother walking barefoot into the fog. When she pulled him back, she saw the crying woman holding his hand. His skin was ice cold. He hasn't spoken since. A hunter claimed he shot at her in the woods, only to find his partner dead instead, throat torn open, the ground soaked though the forest was dry. Even the priest left town after she appeared inside the church one night. The whole floor was wet, candles snuffed, and she sat in the pews with her head bowed as if she were praying. By then, I knew I was marked. She had chosen me. No matter where I went, she followed. The fog found me in different towns. Hotel rooms flooded ankle deep with water. My phone recorded crying when left on overnight. I tried leaving offerings at the creek, toys, flowers, candles. Nothing changed. If anything, she grew angrier. My dreams became soaked with her face. Sometimes I woke with my mouth full of water, choking, gasping. Sometimes I woke to the sound of her whispering right in my ear. "Come back to me." I thought about leaving the country, about running until she couldn't follow. But how do you outrun a ghost tied not to a place, but to you? One night, I tried confronting her. I stood at the creek, fog swirling, and shouted into the dark. "Why me? What do you want?" For a moment, silence. Then the water rippled. A figure rose from the creek. Her face surfaced first, bloated, skin peeling, then her hands reaching. She didn't speak. She screamed, the sound of 1,000 drowning throats, and surged toward me. I ran, slipping in the mud, heart pounding, her shrieking chasing me all the way back to town. The truth is, she isn't grieving. She isn't searching for her children. She's hunting every missing person, every drowned body, every scream swallowed by the fog. She isn't crying for what she lost. She's luring us in, feeding on us. And once she's seen you, you belong to her. I don't know how much longer I can go on. The crying follows me everywhere, in hotel mirrors, in rear-view reflections, in puddles on the street. She doesn't want me to live. She wants me to die with her, to join the children in the river. If you ever find yourself near Hollow Creek and you hear a woman weeping in the fog, don't answer, don't look, because once she notices you, once she knows your face, you'll never be safe again.